Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Call Me Cordelia, the podcast where we talk about everything under the sun concerning Anne with an E. I'm Alexis.
And I'm Ophelia.
And we're speaking to you from beyond the grave. This is our 308 rundown. Okay, this is already spiraling. We said that this was going to be a rambly... I can't even talk. A rambly, hysterical podcast, and we're gonna try to keep it professional, but for the parts where we're going
professional.
Yeah, we've never really been professional, honestly, but like the parts that don't concern a certain two people we're gonna be fine with, I think. However, Ophelia and I constantly make jokes about having to peel each other off of ceilings, but I'm on fucking Mars, so I hope that you are able to get there to get me back, because holy shit, this episode happened.
Yes.
Ophelia, I guess general thoughts, and then we're not dumb. We know why you tuned in. We know why we started basically recording like this. We're going to talk about Shirbert immediately. However, overall general thoughts, Ophelia, we always start this way.
Yeah. First of all, Shirbert has buried me alive with still my clown makeup on in my glittery grave. And I say glittery because I love glitter.
Yes.
Why am I'm so out of my fucking mind right now. I can't even say something properly.
Oh God.
This was a very good episode for many reasons. One, you have Coquette, warrior princess. On the other hand, you have Shirbert being at an all-time high in the worst way possible.
Holy God, that was a great way to describe it.
Like, the stakes have been set so high that even the couple itself can't even get there anymore, so they just fall. Yeah, so that's, I think, the only intelligent thing that will come out of my mouth this episode. What about you, Alexis? General thoughts?
Yes. Okay, now back to Shirbert. It was a great episode. Yeah, it was really good for a lot of different... I'm just literally repeating what you said word for word. I'm so sorry, but it was really good for a lot of different reasons. A lot of different characters like shown through this episode, particularly like you said, Coquette and Shirbert. So let's just get into it, I guess. Yeah, my notes are set up chronologically, and that's about the only coherent thing about them, so that is a good call. But just right off the bat, man, them at Miss Stacy's house was so good. We've been talking about this for forever, pretty much, and I think, especially for you, it was one of your chief complaints, is just that Shirbert doesn't have these good conversations. We need them to banter more. They just don't really talk that much. And this season has completely done away with that. They have had a lot of great conversations, but I think the one at Miss Stacy's house was just so casual, so comfortable. There's a lot to break down about it, like the fact that Anne was sort of casually concerned about him going all the way to the Sorbonne in Paris. But just like the conversation itself, it was just so calm and casual. They're just talking about life, and that's all I've been wanting. So I was super happy about that.
Me too. Like you said, I was the one always complaining that, yeah, we ship Shirbert, but we don't really have anything to stand on because besides staring, they never really talked. And now with the last episode and this episode, we really got that, which is so nice. I'm really glad there is a continuation from the last episode where they realize they have nothing to argue about anymore. So it's great to see that continuing in this episode. they're just like talking about whatever. They're supposed to be learning, but they're just talking, which is very relatable, I think, as well. And then she gave him her pen, which is a very interesting detail that we will come back on in
Yeah, we have some
later,
stuff to say about that.
because the moment it happened, it was very casual and you didn't really think about it until after the episode, and you were like, wait, something is going on with that fucking pen. So whatever. That was Miss Stacy, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, also just how casual and natural it is for them to sit right next to each other. Their knees are literally touching.
Ugh.
Was amazing. And then of course the kids start teasing Gilbert about Winifred and asking about his quote fiance and stuff like that. And Gilbert
He
does not
looked
look
at her.
happy about it. He looks
He
right
looked
at
at
Anne.
her.
Yeah, he looks right at Anne and doesn't look happy about it at all. In fact, he really looks like he wants the conversation to end immediately.
Yes.
And we're not even going to talk about Anne's face throughout all of that because ouch.
Heartache.
Yeah, that was pretty much the theme of this episode apparently. It was just pure heartache. Which Amy Beth and Lucas did you can't see me, but I'm doing a chef's kiss motion. Amy Beth and Lucas did chef's kiss in their acting with that. It was excellent portrayals. And we first saw that obviously coming through in this scene. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, I was really happy just talking with Anne. And then Ruby started talking about how romantical he is, and he's just like, shut the fuck up. I just want to keep talking to this really cute girl next to me. Also, I think we're starting to have a knee fetish. Just saying. It happened last episode. It happened now.
Yeah.
And we're like freakishly into it. So that's something
It
to
shows you how starved we are.
oh wow, knees touching. That's
We're
yeah,
like, oh my
okay.
god, their knees are touching. And then of course it just escalated from there. So I don't think I had any notes in between that and the fire scene. Did you?
No, because I didn't converse in between. So we'll go now from when Gilbert comes up to the group and sees Anne dancing in front of the fire, like the nymph she is, I suppose. Yeah, that was yeah, okay. Alexis.
that. So yeah, the fire scene was pretty much when I knew we were doomed. Obviously, they were drinking. Anne was a little tipsy, and I would just like to say that the moment Gilbert walked up, the friends I was watching with, shout out to y'all again, part two. But the friends that I was watching with, we saw him walk up and legitimately had to pause the episode for like 5 minutes to have a meltdown because all four of us knew that the scene was either going to go one of two ways. He was going to be like, hey, I'm about to propose to Winifred. Can you think of any reason that I shouldn't? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Or he was going to come up and be like, Winifred's father asked if I was going to propose to her. I said no. So we knew some shit was about to go down. Turns out we were right. And yeah, we literally just paused it. It was actual anarchy. We were losing our minds. I'm sure everyone in the apartment complex filed complaints, but you know, it was just part of it. But yeah, just walking up to the fire and seeing Anne dancing with her hair down and wild and laughing, I just felt like that moment was the perfect sum up of the essence of who Anne is. So him just
Yeah.
admiring that, like the rawness of Anne Shirley Cuthbert, that is the core of who she is, was summed up in that scene, was beautiful. And he loved it. And I think as out of the norm and progressive as Winifred is, that doesn't seem like something she would do, because she's still like a lady, you know what I'm saying? She's still kind of raised in a more rigid upper class family, and that didn't strike me as something,
Yeah.
a position that when he would see Winifred in, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And that just shows that Anne is Gilbert's type. He wants that carefreeness. He wants that spiritual connection to the universe with Anne, and how she has such an enigmatic personality. I mean, she brought everyone along to listen to those pirate stories and those jokes. Like, she's such an enigmatic person in everything she does, and she feels so fully. Whereas there's a restriction with Winifred, like she's too sophisticated, she's too mature. And I think that's also why I felt really put off when the proposal thing was mentioned, because I was like, oh no, but Gilbert is so young, because it just doesn't mesh well. But back to Sherbert.
From the moment that I heard "May I speak to you, please,"
Oh,
I don't know
I
what it is
knew
about the way that he said that, but whew, it was
it was
so
so solemn.
serious.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was so serious, and like I think we've mentioned before, also a lot of Sherbert, particularly season one Sherbert, I would say, was so based off of sort of a mischievousness, like a little bit of a playfulness and joking around. Because I mean, at that point, Gilbert was definitely interested in her. We've kind of done some breakdowns of the progression of Sherbert's feelings. I think that season one Gilbert was he liked her and he had like a crush on her, and then he started getting like feelings and low-key falling in love with her, I think, during the coffee house scene, especially when he was about to leave. But that it was so serious because it's not just like this silly crush now where he can tease. I mean, essentially he was asking to marry her, like in a very premature, like, is there a chance for us in the future kind of way.
yeah.
Yeah, because that's where they're at in their lives now. And it just, I don't know why that got me so much, but it did.
But yeah, it got you so much because he's asking her, "You're my first option. Am I your first option too?" Because Sorbonne, the money, Winifred, everything around that, Paris, it's all his second choice.
Oh my
It's
god.
all his second choice, and his first choice. And if Anne is also it for him, it for her, I mean, if Anne also loves Gilbert, then he'll just go to Queens so they can stay close to her, and from there on he'll just figure it out how to become more than a country doctor, because he should still follow his dreams, and I'm sure he can kind of find his way, even if it isn't Sorbonne. So, like the rest of us normal people, whatever. But Anne is his first choice, and that is why it's so impactful. Oh my god.
Yeah, and I put this in my notes, and I mentioned this, I think, on Tumblr, but I'm a very firm believer in, if you truly love somebody, there is no other option. Like, if you truly love somebody, you wouldn't be like, well, let me go figure out this thing first, and then I'll come and see, like, if this would work out. You know what I'm saying? So, again, for the thousandth time, marry for love. I think that's why it's going to come back. I'm still banking on that. And yeah, my note just says him going to her proves that he would literally throw anything away for her. And that's love, because he wouldn't throw anything away for Winifred, obviously, because he didn't just throw Anne away for Winifred, but he would
Oh my
for
god.
Anne. Yeah, but he would for Anne. So obviously he's not like, there's obviously a difference.
You're
Like, obviously that's what they're
wrecking
trying
me,
to say, but
Alexis.
I'm trying not to cry right now. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's telling Anne, listen, I will throw this whole thing with Winifred out the window if you just say
Yes.
the word. And he's not, that's the opposite of what he's saying for Winifred, which she doesn't necessarily deserve. and I don't think he really truly realizes the implications of what he's saying, or he wouldn't be marrying her at all. But we're gonna not talk about that. So,
Also, the fact that he asks Anne, like, do you love me as well? In his words, but paraphrasing, do you love me as well? Implies that he has seen something in her eye as well, something that he thinks is love too. Because we see everything through Anne's eyes, so we never really see her through Gilbert's eyes, kind of, sort of. So he has seen something as well, like, oh wait, she's looking at me romantically, the way Ruby's saying Gilbert is looking at Anne romantically, kind of. Do you know what I mean?
yes, yes, and I
Because
agree.
we never, yeah, it just there for him. We never hear those about those moments for him, but yeah, I'm so rambly. I'm so sorry, guys.
we
It's a mess.
this is so incoherent. We're trying. And I love Gilbert Blythe, okay, but his dumbass took, quote, I don't know what to say. What am I supposed to? And everyone is now, and you just, and I'm pirate, and we never even in Paris, and you were never going to find that much. I know. So how can we, as well? Fuck, I just got rejected. So he
But
said to
he
Bash, he's like,
asked
yeah,
a
she
bad
said no.
question. He asked a bad question. Like,
That, and she's
there's only one
drunk.
thing holding
Yeah,
it.
and she's drunk, and he didn't come out and say, like, I listen, like, I'm throwing, well, I would do anything to be with you. Just tell me that you want to be with me too. Um, and I wrote this note, but honestly, if I'm translating, because somebody did ask for this, if I'm translating what I think she was trying to say, I think it was something along the lines of, I don't know what I'm supposed to say. Everybody is drunk right now, and you just showed up to tell me this. And I'm drunk acting like a pirate, and we never even talked about this before. And you need to go to Paris. You're never going to find that much of an opportunity again, I know. So how can I take that away from you? We need to figure this out.
Oh, that's really coherent. That's
Yeah.
good.
If I were to summarize, that's what I think. What do you have a different translation or
Um, no, because I didn't need to have a translation to it because I knew she was just like she just realizes that yes, Gilbert likes her as well, which she had completely eliminated because of Winifred. Because you could see, like, at the end of the last episode and in this episode, she was very amicable with him because there's no chance Gilbert is with Winifred, whatever. Um, so now that she realizes, like, oh, I'm an option too for him. She was in TOO, not TWO. She's just so frazzled about it, as well as tipsy/drunk. Um, so for her, it was just like, what the fuck are you saying? I'm what, But your translation is probably what she was trying to say. But again, I
mm-hmm.
didn't need a translation because it wasn't relevant, really.
And the thing is, I'm gonna try not to get emotional talking about this, but that whole scene and kind of looking into the fire and doing that sort of monologue kind of thing before she says what's holding you back, where she's talking about the Sorbonne is your dream. You don't want to be a country doctor. Winifred is amazing. Her parents approve.
Yeah.
And yes, she didn't say no, but she also didn't say yes. And she didn't stop him when he was like, hey, I'm walking away now, pretty much like last chance. She didn't stop him. She didn't go after him. And I think what I got from that was she basically told him, no, go marry Winifred. But she didn't tell him, no, go marry Winifred because she's not in love with him. She told him, no, go marry Winifred because I think true love is wanting what's best for that person, even if it's not you. And that's why I think it was so impactful, is because she thinks that this is what's best for Gilbert. This is what he needs. He needs to go to this prestigious medical school. It's his dream. He doesn't want to stay in Avonlea, no matter how badly I want him to stay in Avonlea, no matter how badly I want him to be with me. This is the way that he gets his dream. So she's willing to throw away that for Gilbert's happiness. And that's true love. And that's what, oh my God, that's what got me about that, is because it was so mature and so solid. I don't even know how else to say that,
but and with an E team, Moira, her writers are very great with dialogue because it's also, the words are so intense and it's also wonderfully placed, all the words and how it should be said. And it's but going back to what you said, the fact that he looked back is like, he said, oh, I'm gonna walk away now, but he looked back because he was still hoping, he was still hoping, trying to like spiritually get her to like change her mind, to call his name, to stop him and say, yes, I do love you as well. But she didn't. And we Snapchatted about this, but you could see tears in his eyes in the fire.
Yep.
Because it's so heartbreaking that they keep pulling and pushing at the wrong times and they never find the right way to do it. So they keep on hurting each other instead of, they never find the right time to pull. They never find the right time to push. It's this game where they keep on missing each other. And now it came to this high stakes moment where Gilbert is possibly making the biggest mistake of his life. And she is, I mean, losing the love of her life, probably. Like, it's just so heartbreaking.
And just, again, like we said, just the utter heartbreak that Amy Beth and Lucas are able to portray in this moment. Oh my God. It was so, like, I felt it, and just, I can't even imagine, like, Anne is probably so tired of seeing Gilbert walk away from her like this, like, after 4 years. And Gilbert, like, alternatively is, I think, yes, Gilbert did not phrase the question right. Yes, it was a bad time, but people, I think, are giving Gilbert way too much shit about how he handled it. One, he's young. Two, he's not, it's not just like he sprung this proposal on her and like this is coming out of nowhere. This has been 4 years of Gilbert harboring these feelings for Anne, laying them out there again and again and again, being pretty fucking obvious with them, and just getting nothing back. And when he does get something back, it just regresses immediately. They get into a fight, and how tiring has that got to be? Like, he's so tired of 4 years, and then he's been pretty obvious before and just laid out his feelings like that. But now he's literally sitting down and saying that to her, and it's not like Anne doesn't understand what he's saying. Like, she knows what he's trying to say, obviously, based on her reaction and based on the conversations he has afterwards. And again, she didn't stop him. Like, even if that wasn't necessarily her saying no, she didn't go after him. She let him leave. And I think to Gilbert, he was going there kind of fully expecting to hear her say, oh yeah, don't marry her, please, I'm in love with you. And she doesn't. And I think, yeah, I think everyone's correct. Gilbert took it the wrong way, and it was a bad time to ask, but it wasn't completely off for him to assume what he assumed. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. He's young. He's 17. Like, I'm 18. I have no idea how to go up to someone and say, like, is there a possibility you love me too? Like, how do you say that? I wouldn't know. So I think he did it the best way he could in the situation. And like before he asked her, like, is there a possibility you like me too? He was frazzled. He's saying like, I have Sorbonne and all these things, blah, blah, blah. Like he is confused himself. So it doesn't surprise me that his question is jumbled as well. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, this
Um,
is honest to God the best execution of the will they, won't they, which I mean, we know
yeah.
they will, but this is the perfect execution of the missing each other trope because they're playing into all of the emotions with it. And it's not like senseless that they're missing each other. It's like things keep happening and it's almost kind of realistic. Like Anne letting him go like that because she thinks that's what's best for him. And God, I could ramble about that all day. But then the very next scene, Ophelia, the dictionary parallel.
I died? Question mark?
I am not okay. I'm not alive right now, actually.
I didn't expect it at all. Who'd have thought they would do a fanfic parallel? That's legit something they do in fan fiction.
Well, she was rummaging, and I was even like, "What the hell is she looking for?" I was like, "Wait, what? What is she trying to find?" Because,
Wait,
like, I
but
guess a part of my mind
Alexis,
was like, "There's no way. There's absolutely no way she's about to pull out the dictionary."
Alexis,
But
we're forgetting the first part. She wakes up with Gilbert's voice saying, "Will you marry me?"
no,
Wait, sorry. Wait, sorry. The siren is okay.
it's
There was
coming
a
for
siren.
me.
I'm sorry.
I need it very badly right now because of, oh my God.
So the first she wakes up to the voice of Gilbert saying, "Will you marry me?" First of all, I thought she's either dreaming this or he's literally standing at her door. I don't know. That was yeah, but yeah, let's go back to the dictionary. Yeah,
I mean, she
continue.
kind of was dreaming it because she's like smiling in her sleep and then she sits up like, oh heck, and then she goes to find the dictionary. So it's kind of implying that she may or may not have been kind of dreaming something like
Oh
that, even though it was a
God.
voiceover. But oh, we're not going to talk about it. Um, but just also Gilbert's face when he does find the ring is not the face of a man on the way to propose to someone he's in love with.
He looks troubled.
It honestly looks like the moment he's realizing that he's about to propose to someone who isn't Anne. And again, there have been so many foreshadowings, especially in season 2, that they're going to get married. And I think especially the Prissy and Mr. Phillips wedding showed that he's thought about marrying Anne before this, obviously. And I just think he never even had to consider the possibility that he was going to propose to somebody that wasn't Anne. And that hurts. So
Can I say something really unintelligent?
just go for it.
So I was writing my notes and I put a meme between my notes because I thought that it was very, very fitting to what I was doing. So Gilbert found the ring. When you give someone a ring, you're engaged to them. So there's an engagement. Engagement is a word they used in the spelling bee, and the spelling bee is related to the dictionary and was gifted from Gilbert. So Gilbert gave Anne a dictionary, and in a dictionary there's the word engagement, and engagement is from the spelling bee, and engagement is also related to ring, and he's holding a ring. So I've connected the dots. You didn't connect shit. I've
I've
connected them.
connected them.
Um,
So funny.
so you can now put me in a like a psychiatric ward. What is the word? Like an asylum? You can have me in an asylum.
I honestly need to those of you, I did get some concerned messages about my asthma situation concerning this episode, and I would just like to say that I have another medical condition called vasovagal syncope, where sometimes when I'm put under an immense amount of stress, I pass out. And yesterday over at my friend's house, I actually had to lay down for a minute because I thought I was going to literally medically black out. So I'm doing fine now, but that was an experience yesterday. Shout out to my brain for literally short circuiting. Anyway, moving on. The fact that Anne went to talk to Aunt Jo about it, I love this woman so much, and this is the second time she's been involved in giving Anne advice about romance concerning Gilbert.
Yeah.
So straight up,
It was really beautiful to see.
It was so good. It was so beautiful. I meant to copy her speech down so I could just like say it again, but I think the most important thing that she said is that you don't just know, but I think that if you were to know, it would be in like the quiet moments when all is said and done. And we're gonna come back to that because, yeah. But
why not go to it now?
Oh, well, let's fucking do it then. I'll go for it. I will ramble about this for 10 minutes. Let's go. Her speech, she says, it is not an accident that Aunt Jo was talking about the moment you'll know, I think, is when you're in the quiet moments, and that's when you'll figure it out. And then the moment Anne sat straight up and said, I'm in love with Gilbert Blythe, was right after she had just made her peace with Diana. She'd made her peace with everything at the school. Marilla was on the board now. She was laying down in the quiet of her room next to her best friend, and that's when she knew. And that was probably my favorite part, my favorite touch of the whole episode, quite honestly.
I didn't expect it. And with an E is known for making their third acts amazing, in my opinion. But I didn't expect her to just shoot up and say that because I thought they were giving this third act completely to Diana and Anne, you know, which we'll get to later, Diana and Anne and their constellation. It was such a scream-worthy moment, like you said, for that 1 second of silence. Anne only needed 1 fucking second of silence.
It was like barely a second.
to realize she loves Gilbert Blythe. That just tells us how fucking insane her mind must be with everything going on in her life to finally have this moment of silence. God. I also with the entrance exams, like her mind was full, her mind was occupied. She didn't have time for Gilbert Blythe, and now she has.
Well, yeah, everything kind of wrapped up, you know. This season has been building up to the exams, to everything going on with the newspaper, and then her and Diana's fight, and it all wrapped up, and it was all quiet. And my friend actually started recording the end of the episode. It was yeah, Ophelia saw it because she just sensed it. I don't know why we started recording, but she just like sensed it. So you can see our reactions. And when her and Diana are laying on the bed, my dumbass says, oh my God, they can't just leave Shirbert like this. And then less than a second later, Anne sits up and says, I'm in love with Gilbert Blythe. And the episode fucking ends. So that just shows you how dumb my ass is. And then my note immediately below that was, well, I can't wait to see what goes wrong next week then. Because there's no way that we have 2 episodes left. If we were going into the finale, I would be a little more confident about how good and reassuring the Shirbert would be for next week, but we have 2 episodes, so I highly doubt that. Also, in contrast to Anne going to talk to Aunt Jo about everything that happened, which, by the way, it was like what we said earlier. She directly says to Aunt Jo, Gilbert asked me if I love him. So she knew what he was saying. It's not like she was confused, you know?
Yeah.
But in contrast to that, we have Gilbert going to talk to our newly named Shirbert captain, Sebastian Lacroix.
I love Dalmar so much.
I love him.
Alexis has to hear this almost every day, me sending a snap just saying, I love Dalmar.
Because I love him too. I will accept those snaps anytime. I love this man.
He just said, Gilbert said, I'm proposing. And he just looked at him and was like, yes, my answer is yes. Like, he has the
God.
best lines. He has the best lines. And then just standing up and doing a dance because he knows it's Anne for sure.
Well, just when Gilbert says, and then I went to talk to Anne, Sebastian just blinks at him. Like he's error code 404ing, like he's not processing, and then he says, wait, I have to stand up for this. You love her. He said you love her. And he said, I always, like, it's always been Anne, is what he said. It's always been Anne. I knew from the moment you got the letter on the ship.
That's insane.
Yeah, so if you guys are aware, Diana Barry in the past has been my Shirbert ship captain. However, I think I'm gonna have to fire her respectfully and replace her with Sebastian because wow, he was literally dancing at the possibility of Shirbert being a thing. And I did see some people say like, "Oh God, like why didn't he try harder to stop her?" But he literally said, "Are you sure?" 3 different times in 3 different ways to Gilbert before Gilbert kind of was like, "Bash, stop," you know. But I was laughing so hard because he literally was saying, "Are you sure? Like, is that really what you want to do?"
Speaking of Bash, in the previous episode, you said like, "Oh, I wish Gilbert would talk to Charlie or Moody. Doesn't really have guy friends." But if you think about it, Bash is his best friend plus his brother. So, like that counts as like, yeah, whatever. That's just a side note that I
we've
thought
also
of.
said we just want him to talk to Bash about his feelings again.
And
Like we need more
does.
clarity.
I
And that was better than I ever could have imagined because he actually danced. Like, okay, so as you guys have probably heard by now, there is a theory going around. And at first I thought that everyone kind of talking about this theory were clowns and there's no way. But the more I started thinking about it, the more I'm completely on board with it. Ophelia, would you like to present this theory to the listeners?
I would love to. So, the moment Gilbert will make his way to Winifred, whether it be on the train or literally right in front of her, he will go into his pocket to get the ring or Winifred, and he'll feel the pen Anne gave him when they were studying at Miss Stacy's. He will look at it and be like, "Oh shit, I really love Anne. I should marry for love. This is not what I want to do. This is a sign. This is a sign from God, science, whatever he believes in." And he'll say, like, "I'm sorry, Winifred. I can't do this. I need to marry for love. And I am not in love with you. I'm sorry." And then he'll go back to Avonlea and kiss Anne. That's basically the premise of
Yes.
that.
And I made a
Yeah.
post about this, which some of you guys may have seen, but again, at first I thought, no, there's no way. That seems like a fanfic thing. I don't think they would do that. But then the more I started thinking about it, I'm completely sold now because somebody pointed this out to me on Twitter. But Amy Beth a few months ago tweeted 3 emojis that, when asked to describe season 3, one of them was a dancing girl, one of them was a pen, like an old-fashioned fountain pen, and one of them was a horse. So obviously we know the dance. what went down there. We have hints at the pin, and then people were talking about how Lucas said at the beginning of the season that he needed a stunt double for a horseback riding scene. So a lot of people are kind of thinking that's more related to it. So I started thinking, and I was like, okay, but like the pin could be about the newspaper that they're writing, because that's been such a big part of the season. But the newspaper has pretty much solely based around the printing press as like the principal means of producing the paper. They haven't handwritten since episode 1. So I feel like the pin isn't really related to that. And like we said, it was at first when Gilbert asked for Anne's pin at Miss Stacy's house. It was so little and kind of just inconsequential. Like I barely thought about it. I didn't really register it until later. But then when Anne gets to the exam and she doesn't have the pin, I was like, oh shit, I thought this was going to be a conflict of the proctor being like, well, that sucks. I guess you can't take the exam. But he just produces a pin like it was nothing and gives it to her, and that's that. That's the end of the scene. So then what's the point? If the point was for her to just have forgotten a pin on test day, then there's absolutely no reason to write in that Gilbert borrowed it. So if it wasn't for conflict in that scene of just Anne forgot her pin, look at that, look how flighty she is, everyone's nervous. There's absolutely no point for them to have Gilbert be the one to have it, other than the fact that it's going to probably come up later.
Yeah,
So,
it is definitely significant.
Yeah, there's no. If you guys have not noticed, like Anne with an E is very deliberate with everything that they do.
Yeah.
And every little detail, it's not just this little accident. There's no reason it was going to be brought up if it's not going to come back later. So I'm fully sold now. I have my clown makeup on hand in case I'm wrong, but I completely buy it now.
Can I talk about some theories that I have about the proposal between Winifred and Gilbert? I have like
Please,
5
God, because I'm so
possibilities.
torn.
Okay, so I also posted this on Tumblr, but I think it would be nice to also talk about it on the pod. So I have 5 things that could happen. 1, Anne catches Gilbert just in time and tells him she loves him, but that her confession shouldn't influence him since she wants the best for him, and Sorbonne is an amazing opportunity. So, go for Winifred and all. But Gilbert is like, nope, just the thing we have already discussed, like what is the most ideal situation. Um, the second option is that Anne doesn't stand in the way of Gilbert and Winifred because she wants the best for him, so she doesn't say anything and hears from Marilla or Rachel that they are now engaged. Gilbert is in the middle of proposing. That's the third option. And he just says, I can't do this. And decides to wait for Anne to love him back, and just wait it out. So they're both waiting it out. The fourth option is that Winifred is a lesbian and asks him to not marry her. And the fifth one is kind of like a plot twisty kind of thing where we see Gilbert leave with the ring and we think he's going to Charlottetown, and then suddenly he's at the porch of Green Gables. Wait, he just pulled a power move. So those are the 5 options. Which one would you prefer?
I will say I'm not completely sure, but I do know that I want it to be Gilbert to figure it out. I don't want Anne. I don't think there's any reason for Anne to. How do I word this? I want it to be Gilbert that figures out he can't marry Winifred. I just think it would not cheapen it, but it would make it a little too convenient if Anne just came back and was like, wait, never mind. I think it has to be Gilbert, and I think, again, that's going to be the whole point. That would be the wrap up of I'm going to say it for literally the millionth time, marry for love. Otherwise, it's just like we don't get to see as the audience Gilbert making that distinction. It's just that Anne was there, I guess. Not that, I don't know. I just think I want Gilbert to be the one to figure it out and go back and be like, listen, I cannot marry Winifred, so I'm putting this out there one last time. And if you don't want to be with me, then just tell me, but I can't marry Winifred because I'm in love with you. Because Anne has also come out and said it now. You know, she has said the words, I'm in love with Gilbert Blythe. And we haven't heard Gilbert, I mean, he's basically said it. He's basically implied it, but we haven't heard the word love come out of Gilbert's mouth in terms of Anne yet. So that's why I think it has to, in order to like make marry for love make sense. Wow, that was super rambly. But in conclusion, I really think that ideally Gilbert doesn't go through with the proposal. One, because that's just not really fair to Winifred. I don't think he would go through with it. Ideally, he doesn't end up doing it at all, and I hope it's because he pulls the pin out of his pocket. And oh my god, a scene where he's like running back, he's like racing, and that's why he's on the horse. He's like racing to go back to see Anne, and she meets up with him, and they both are just kind of looking at each other, and he goes, I need to give you back your pen. And then she's like, oh. And then that's when he's like, also, I'm in love with you. That's ideally what's going to happen. I don't want Winifred to have to be put in that situation, I think, above all else. And I want Gilbert to be the one to figure it out. Anyway, I could have definitely said that in like 4 seconds, but.
So you can't see me right now, but I'm crying.
I can't fucking breathe.
Because can you imagine that scene happening and then just fade to black, end of season 3?
No, God, please don't do that to me. I actually will not survive it. I will pass out. I will hit the ground.
Oh, I hate crying. What am I doing?
This is spiraling fast.
So let's maybe stop everything about Shirbert and just do the other people, because I'm not surviving right now. So
I'm so sick of this. I can't wait to end back up at Shirbert. But
let's do Hazel Lacroix, Bash's mom. Love her, but I'm saddened that she still feels like she needs to conform to the so-called standards of that time. Because I was so appalled with the way she handled Gilbert. I was like, what is she doing? What is happening? And Gilbert was also like a little confused. How do I need to react to this? Like, it was very saddening scenes, in my opinion.
Yeah, I had in my notes also, I just think it shows the other end of, we've said this phrase a few times while talking about season 3, but being a product of society.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, I mean, obviously we've seen that from being racist, being sexist, kind of being homophobic. We've seen it from that end, but seeing it from the sort of the other side of things was heartbreaking. When she says they'll turn on you, she's a product of society. That's what she knows because that's what she's been a part of and that's what she's been exposed to. So she doesn't get it. She doesn't understand the fact that Gilbert and Vash are equals, and there are no strings attached. There's no double meaning. They're brothers. And when she walked into Marilla and Rachel cleaning, and Vash says they're like family to me, maybe a tear was shed, but we won't talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that moment too because it showed like this is his new family, and Hazel needs to accept that. And it's also another reminder that we're now in the 20th century. Things are changing. Things aren't great, but they are changing, and you should just accept it with open arms. Which is a great segue into Rachel and Marilla, because they made a fucking power move. And I love it.
Oh, adore them. Yeah, but I'm excited she's here. I think it's going to be really nice to see when she does start to realize that these people are not going to turn on you. They will accept you, and they do love Bash a lot. I think that's going to be nice to see. I just hope she gets to that realization.
But yeah, Rachel just casually made equality in a board of committee. Like,
she was that bitch this episode. Yeah.
Rachel's development from season 1 to now is so large. It's so enormous. So I can't wrap my head around it. Like, she started being mean to a little orphan girl who did nothing wrong, and now she's making sure there's equality in Avonlea, and I'm sure they will pull that through in the next episode when she learns about Coquette and what happened to her. And she'll be the first to say, let's disband that school, because she's this new,
I hope so.
evolved woman. Like, she's a new woman, and it's so fucking cool to see. Like, I love her so much.
Yeah, I really hope that she is the first to rally behind Coquette's, which, what a good segue. Look at us go, because another huge part of our notes, Coquette is back and absolutely crushing it. Yeah. Well, how did you feel about Coquette's escape, the whole storyline?
She's so smart and resourceful, and the fact that she figured out how to make a plan to deviate everyone and then leech onto a buggy with just her strength, and then walk I don't know how many miles or kilometers. Like, it's just, she's 12 years old. She doesn't know a lot of the modern world, and yet she figured out to make her way back to her family, to her tribe. And it's just amazing.
Yep.
I can't wait to see the aftermath.
White
Next
savior
episode.
trope. Who? We don't know her. She's not in the Anne with an E fandom. She doesn't go here. Because I know people were concerned about that. Like, and we were too. We were like, I really hope that they do this in a way that's not the white savior trope. And it was exactly the opposite of that. Coquette saved herself. She did it herself. She got back home herself. There weren't any white people heroically rushing in to save her and bust her out of the school. It was just Coquette, and it was amazing. I absolutely loved it. She's my real episode MVP. But my runner-up is Bash and Minnie May, for actual real reasons this time, not just because I'm being a crackhead. Like, for real reasons this time, Minnie May is my MVP. But yeah, she's so smart. She's wow. I'm like at a loss for words. It was incredible.
Speaking of Minnie May, who would have thought we would get a scene calling out Diana for who she has been? And it's not her fault she has been, it's not Diana's fault. She is a product of her time, like we always say. But it's interesting to see Minnie May being the person, like, your whole life is a lie, and I don't want to have the same thing happened to me. That's like I never expected to see that scene happen.
It was such a good. Also, Kira, I think is her name. Wow, she was amazing. Like, child actors usually are not great at all, but she was like sobbing, and it was like how I am around children a lot. I nanny. I have seen plenty of tears from children, both real and fake, and that was just such like a real heartbroken child's cry. And wow, it was so good. But I feel like it had to come from Minnie May, because Minnie May looks up to Diana. She clearly looks up to Diana. She's young, she's innocent, she's inside the situation actually, because she sees Diana at home, and she sees, kids are way smarter than people give them credit for. So she sees how unhappy Diana is. And I feel like, when Anne tries to say it, Anne's emotional too. She has kind of bias from both ends because she's attached to Jerry. She's friends with Jerry. She's emotional. She's upset. Diana's probably like, you don't know what I'm going through. And Minnie May does, because Minnie May's also kind of being put through the exact same path that Diana has been put through. And she looks up to Diana. Diana probably knows that. And obviously she loves and cares for Minnie May. She does love and care for Anne too, but it's just a very different kind of bond. So the fact that it came from Minnie May to kind of turn Diana around was perfect. Or the fact that it came from Minnie May to turn Diana around was perfect. It was amazing.
And going from that, we get this really beautiful scene between Diana and Anne, making up, having their consolation, which was really beautiful. Yeah, and it was just nice to see, their friendship being back, and it's stronger than ever because they survived this very heartbreaking fight. Like, I wasn't sure if it would be resolved in season 3, to be honest. Like, I was very unsure about it. So now we know it's stronger than ever, and only a a giant cruise ship could break it apart now. Like the Titanic could try. They could try, but it wouldn't work. It's so strong. I like it. What about you?
Oh, it was so good. And the whole when she opened that door and I saw Diana Barry standing there with the dandelion, a piece of my heart snapped, because it could have been cheesy, but it was so sweet and such a good callback to not just like a random ass part of their friendship, but like the beginning of their friendship and the vow that they made to be best friends forever. It was beautiful, and I couldn't have asked for anything else. So it was a really good makeup. But I was with you. I was kind of very concerned because I wasn't sure if it was going to be a plot line that was going to be carried over into season 3. And that whole scene at the beginning of the episode where they were obviously leaving their house early so they wouldn't run into each other hurt a lot. So I'm very glad I didn't have to endure more of that than necessary.
It was so funny though. Like, you were half an hour early. So are you. Well, I'll just go fetch my hair tie, I guess. And then just quickly like tosses it away. That was pretty funny.
It was pretty on brand for, yeah, I like it.
But more of Diana. She broke it off with Jerry. That was very intense.
Yeah, it was not great. I wasn't happy with Diana at all in that moment, but she obviously, I kind of have a feeling I wouldn't be surprised, especially if she's back at Green Gables, if she didn't go and sort of apologize for the way that she treated him, because even the sort of quote breakup was not very nice. And yeah, but for obvious reasons, I think that she just kind of wanted to rip the Band-Aid off. And but it wasn't very nice, especially the very end when she kind of snapped and like threw the book down and the dog.
She tried to though. Like she began trying to be nice and gentle, but Jerry right off the bat was very emotional and defensive. So I kind of understand her in some way. Like it's not nice what she did, but I understand her reaction at the end. Like fuck it, I'm just gonna just here's your stuff. I'm just gonna go. Yeah.
Right. But also, like, the fact that they did end with her snapping and throwing it down makes me think that there's going to be another talk out sort of scene. That didn't feel like a definite end to me in terms of I don't think that's the last time I don't think they're going to get back together or anything like that, but I could see a scene with Diana going back to Jerry in the barn and being like, "I'm sorry, let's talk about this now." And
Yeah.
when Jerry's not super emotional and defensive. So
She took the exams. What about that? That was a power move.
oh,
Jesus.
Aunt Joe. I love that Aunt Joe was the one that came in and set her straight, my queen. I love her. I do think that this will probably mean Diana ends up going to Queens. I would be a little bit surprised if she went to Paris at this point, but maybe I'm just being hopeful. I don't know.
I don't know either. Maybe for half of season 4? Like for a little while, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. It could go one or the other, and now it would be fine because, well, I don't know though, because I just feel like Diana's whole thing about she doesn't want anymore what her parents want for her. She doesn't want, Aunt Joe made a whole point about you're going to learn how to pick out the right dress and how to smile. That I don't think that's Diana now. So I think if she does end up getting into the Queens, like if she gets the good exam grade, then she's definitely going. But I don't see her going to finishing school. I just don't. The more I think about it, the more I don't think that's going to happen, especially the way that it was being framed in the conversation with Aunt Joe, just very negatively. I don't see that happening.
Yes, they'll love in Paris. You'll do fine. You'll just not be interesting. Ugh,
Yeah, very, very
that
negative. So
hurts.
yeah, it was the way it was being framed. That's why I'm saying I don't think she's going to end up going, but we'll see, I guess. But the Queen's exams though were so funny. I have seen that exact scene playing out in front of college exam, like classrooms before a college exam, or even high school, honestly.
Yeah,
Uh,
bro. Our Latin class last summer was exactly the same. I came in, there was already one other girl. We looked at each other and we were like, "Did you sleep last night?" "No, I didn't." "I almost puked today." "Oh, me too." Cool. It's the most relatable thing ever I've ever
it
seen on
was
TV.
so and
No.
the way that they wrote it and acted it and shot it was amazing because it honestly kind of made me anxious too. Like I was getting
Yes.
secondhand jitters from them, and that was great. It was so funny though. It was so funny. I loved that. And you can even like kind of, I guess, going back to the Diana and Anne thing, when Diana walks up, you can see Anne in the background looking pretty happy about it, even though she's not talking to Diana.
Yeah.
So I loved that. That was just so funny. Man, Aunt Joe was really just fixing everything this episode. Thank you, ma'am.
She's kind of a deus ex machina, in my opinion, but
Yeah.
I don't mind it. Yeah.
The schoolhouse scene also, we are a little bit clowned, I guess, because we said that we thought maybe it was a possibility of Gilbert going to get Anne in the middle of the night, but I guess not. But the kids all rallying around it and coming together is what I'm here for. I love that. I've said this before. The kids scenes, general schoolhouse interactions are always my favorite. Like I said, I think it was on my wish list actually at the beginning of before the season even started, but just scenes of them being kids and just having a good time is exactly what they delivered with that bonfire, at first before we had our heart ripped from our chest and stomped on the ground. But like you said also, I think Miss Stacy was the MVP of that scene because she always just knows exactly what to say. And the way that they portrayed her emotions in that scene too was really good because she was being emotional about it, because you could be emotional about it. You can be strong and you can show emotion. It wasn't weakness, I guess, in that moment. She wasn't trying to quote be strong for them. She let herself feel it too.
Furious.
Yeah, she was furious. As we saw from the scene where she walks up on Bash. Ophelia,
oh my god. I have mixed emotions.
Me too.
Because, yeah, sure, cute. It's a hint to a maybe someday thing. But on the other hand, it I found okay, it worked, but also it's so soon because Mary died on Easter and it's July. So that's a little weird. But I can see it happening in season 5, maybe. What about you?
Yeah, I also have pretty mixed emotions. The possibility of Miss Stacy and Bash was brought up to us a few episodes ago, and I think then I was like, yeah, absolutely not. I do kind of retract that statement. I will say not absolutely not, but I definitely need to be sold on it. It needs to be natural. It needs to be I have to be sold on it. And obviously I'm not yet because we just saw that little interaction. I would prefer it if they were friends, I think, but that may not happen, which is fine. As long as I will say I don't think I want it to happen this season for sure.
Definitely.
If they I don't even know if I want any more little hints
No.
this season. I just not right now for sure. They need to build it up a little bit.
Bash married Mary at the end of season 2. Can you imagine if he fell in love again at the end of season 3? That's just cheapening his character. I would be so mad. That's why I'm just not for it
Well,
at
and
all.
cheapening Mary's death too.
Also, Jesus.
Yeah, I don't think there's a set time for people to move on, but just if we're going in terms of a timeline for TV shows, wow, that is soon. And it's not a good look. Yeah, for if it was something happens at the end of this season, because Bash and Mary, like you said, literally got married at the end of season 2. So not a great look if they were to do something this season. I'm not saying no indefinitely, but I need to be convinced. They're going to have to do some work to convince me of that. And that's what I'm going to say about that.
Yeah. I have no more notes. What about you?
I think that's pretty much it for me, other than the fact that Bash walked into the room with Delphine and called Gilbert Uncle Gilby. Oh my god. That scene was so pure and so good.
I love him.
That's all I want. Uncle Gilby. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, Moira? Okay, we'll move on from that.
Oh, no. Wait, Alexis. Okay, headcanon time. Gilbert comes home from Queen's College for whatever, Christmas, the weekend, I don't know. And you can hear someone yell, Gilly, or Gilby, or Uncle Gilby, and it's toddler Delphine running down the stairs in a cute pink dress. Yes.
You can't see me right now, but there are tears in my eyes.
Okay, so I have 2 trivial notes that mean nothing. So the first one is I've traded my soul for a CBC gem account and I don't even care.
I regret nothing at this point.
And the second one is anyway, drinking and being little dipshits, my average Tuesday night, not gonna lie.
Anyway, my Tuesday night.
So,
So good. Also,
yeah,
I know we said we weren't going to talk about Sherbert anymore, but I would just like to point out that from this point on, we're in the dark. We don't have anything else to go off of. There's no more promo pictures. There's no more, but wait a fucking second. Hang on. We haven't seen the orchard scene yet, have we?
The what scene?
You know how they posted the behind the scenes picture of them being in the like they're filming in this orchard, and we saw like Gilbert's bees, but it wasn't episode 1, I don't think. Like Amy Beth was there and Lucas was there.
They have an orchard scene?
They were filming in an orchard at one point. It might have been for Gilbert's bees, however.
Oh my god. Okay. That is okay.
Okay, it might just be for Gilbert's bees, but I feel like I saw somewhere that they filmed there twice. I could be completely wrong, but I'm just going to leave that there. But from this point on, we don't have any official behind the scenes pictures. We don't have any more trailer shots. We have nothing to go off of in terms of Sherbert now for the next 2 episodes. So that's going to be fun to deal with. And the last thing I just kind of wanted to say was I did have an Anon send me this, which they identified themselves. So frijoles con tortillas, they pretty much summed up Sherbert's feelings perfectly, I think. Like in this scene, she said, oh, wow, I just realized maybe Anne is feeling the way she felt about the whole Jerry Diana situation. Gilbert doesn't want Queens, Avonlea, or to be a country doctor. He wants the Sorbonne, he wants Paris, he wants a prestigious medical career. His weird confession brought that point to her that he would give it all up if she reciprocated his feelings, but she might feel guilty or feel like he would resent her if he gave up his lofty dreams to quote, settle for her. And yeah, that's pretty much exactly it, I think.
Yeah.
I think she is afraid, more so than him resenting her. I think she just wants what's best for him. I went on a whole 5-minute tangent about it, but she just wants Gilbert to be happy. And I think that she's assuming that's not with her. But yeah, that's all the notes that I have. We did get a few questions, which we will answer now. So Shanielle, I hope I pronounced that right. I'm so sorry if I didn't, said, please consider Mrs. Lind for your MVP of this episode.
She was runner-up. Also, Shanielle, her real name is Alice, and she's from Australia, and she has contacted us saying she loves our podcast.
Oh,
so
we freaking
hi,
love
Alice.
You too. Hi, Alice. We freaking love you too. Thank you for listening.
I've considered her. She's my number 2. So.
Yeah, I will consider her. I think that she definitely was that bitch in that meeting. She was amazing. When she said, "Don't get hysterical," to the guy, queen, iconic. However, I do think Coquette and Bash remain my MVP, but she definitely was pretty far up there. Endless Tangent said, what are your thoughts on 1, Gilbert just accepting Anne's response as rejection without any fight? I really wanted to see more of a fight from his side, and his passiveness of just deciding to move on with Winnie bothered me, not gonna lie, but I'm hoping we see him turn things around and actually let Anne know what she truly means to him and not just imply it. And 2, the pen theory.
So we talked about the pen theory, so we can leave that aside, just that it'll be a significant part in the remaining 2 episodes. I think we already said it, but like he has fought so hard already with himself and with Anne about the most trivial shit for the last 4 years. He's tired. He just wanted a clear response, even if his question was a little jumbled. He just wanted an answer. And I understand that he left. Like I would have left too.
Yeah, and again, we did talk about this, but I wouldn't say it wasn't without any fight. I mean, like, Anne just completely, she didn't say yes, and that's what he went there to hear. So I guess his assumption was if you're not saying yes, then you're saying no. And then she didn't fight either. I mean, she just let him walk away, and it's not like, it's like what we said, this has been going on for 4 years. He's been fighting for Anne and putting himself out there, and just has she hasn't reciprocated barely at all. Yeah, I mean, I just think it's not passiveness, but he's also under so much pressure. I mean, he's about to make some of the most important decisions of his life that could change the course of his whole life, and he's stressed, obviously. Like we said, he's pacing back and forth, like ranting to Anne about it before he basically says, "I'm in love with you." And I don't think, I mean, he was obviously heartbroken, and I think he was just expecting to hear a yes from Anne, and when he didn't hear a yes, I mean, that was, he assumed, like, the answer that he needed. But in terms of him turning it around and letting Anne know what she truly means to him by not just, like, implying it, I do think I mean, I don't think that's gonna be the last that Gilbert talks about his feelings with her. I feel like he's going to be pretty clear about it coming up. So, yeah, that's what I have to say about that. And Remy LeBub sent in, how do you think realistically the stuff will play out with Gilbert's plans for proposing? I really think the proposal is going to happen and he's going to get engaged to Winnie for some time, but of course I'd rather have Anne and Gilbert just get to each other before he proposes.
Well, I gave already 5 possibilities about proposing. So he either does it and Winnie accepts, he either does it and she doesn't accept, he either doesn't do it and he goes to Anne and they try to figure out how the slow burn will continue one way or the other. Boom.
Or the sinking other option is that he proposes, she says yes, and then he realizes before they get married that he loves Anne. And I really, really hope that does not happen. I would much rather, like you said, I think he's going to figure it out right before he actually proposes, because again, that doesn't feel fair to me.
And wouldn't that be a parallel to Prissy and Mr. Phillips? Like it would be
It'd be too close.
A storyline, kind of.
Yeah, no, I agree. It would feel too close, I think. I didn't think about that, but now that you're saying that, you're like, yeah, I agree. So I'm really hoping that doesn't happen. We'll see, I guess, soon. I have a feeling obviously within 2 episodes, but I kind of feel like he's going to figure it out by the end of the next. I don't even know. I can't even think about timelines without wanting to cry my eyes out. So we got 2 others. I think we pretty much covered these, but thank you to Anne Shirley Blythe and Thunder Clouds for sending in your questions. They just asked about, do you think Gilbert will go through with it or not, which we talked about, and of course the pen theory. I can't believe the happiness and lives of an entire fandom are resting on a pin right now, but that's just where we're at, I guess. Just the hand we've been dealt, so we're gonna deal with it. But yeah, Ophelia, you have anything else to add?
I'm so tired.
I am emotionally drained.
Like I woke up. It was a sunny fall morning. I was happy. I was thriving, and I'm just bone tired emotionally. Like, what about you? Yeah, you said you were tired too.
I woke up with "I'm in love with Gilbert Blythe" like blaring in my head. So that's how my day started. Yeah, honestly, I'm very concerned because we have 2 episodes. I hesitate to say this, but the past 2 seasons, Moira has ended Shirbert the same. Not open-ended but hopeful, and because she doesn't know obviously if she's getting another season, although a lot of people have been talking about season 3, so I'm kind of hopeful about it in terms of ratings and stuff, but I do think that they're going to end it with them hopefully being okay to some extent. I wouldn't be surprised if the last scene of the finale is them running to each other and then meeting halfway and just kind of staring at each other and smiling because they realize what the other one was going to say, and then fade to black, wait for season 4. So oh, please God, don't do that to me. But anyway,
Not
I
murder me in the last minute of this podcast.
have been, Ophelia, you have been slaughtering me for about an hour and a half now that we've been recording, so I don't even know what to say. I'm so sorry this podcast was as rambly and screamy as it was, but there was never any other option. This is obviously way longer than what our other ones have been, but talked about a lot, covered a lot of good stuff. And if you guys want to send in your theories and questions or general screams, you can send that to our joint podcast Tumblr, which is at Call Me Cordelia Podcast, or either of us are always up to scream with you guys. If you ever send us a message, we'll theorize our asses off. We're always down for that. So my personal Tumblr is at Shirberts.
And mine is at Lydius Siles.
So yeah, just send us your theories. We'll be around and we will scream with you. So this was a podcast and a half. Thank you guys. If you've listened up to this point, you're the real MVP of this episode. So yeah, that's it for now. We will see you guys next week. Hopefully not from the grave again, but who knows, honestly, at this point. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.